The divorce papers were supposed to arrive next Tuesday. Instead, I found Officer Martinez standing in my driveway at 11:30 on a Friday night, holding a folded piece of paper like it was radioactive waste. "Mr. Davidson, I need you to step away from your vehicle," he said, his voice tight with something I couldn't identify. Fear, disgust. "Actually, step away from your wife entirely." I looked at Jessica, who was fumbling with her phone beside our BMW, her face flushed from the wine at dinner. She'd been showing off all night to her new co-workers from the marketing firm, especially that gym rat Brandon, who couldn't stop flexing even while cutting his steak. "What's this about, officer?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. My wife was maybe going 5 over the limit. But Sir Martinez cut me off, glancing nervously at Jessica. "I ran your wife's license through our system tonight." "What came back?" He shook his head. "Look, I've been a cop for 15 years. I've seen domestic situations that would make your skin crawl. But this," he pressed the folded paper into my hand. "Do not go home tonight. Find somewhere safe. A hotel, a friend's place, anywhere but your house." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about? What's in the report?" Martinez glanced at Jessica again. She was 30 FT away, laughing into her phone, probably talking to Brandon. Her voice carried in the cool night air. "No, baby. He's totally clueless. We'll have the place to ourselves tomorrow night." "Baby, I can't explain everything here," Martinez whispered urgently. "But that paper has a phone number. Call it when you're alone. And Mr. Davidson, whatever you think you know about your situation, you don't know the half of it." I unfolded the paper with trembling hands. Written in block letters was a phone number and a single line. "She knows you know." The world tilted sideways. "Officer, I don't understand." "Hey." Jessica's voice cut through the night. She was walking toward us, her heels clicking on the asphalt. "What's taking so long?" "Brandon's waiting for us at the bar." Brandon at the bar. While I was supposed to be going home to bed because I had to work early Saturday, Martinez gave me a look that said everything and nothing. "Drive carefully, folks. Have a good evening." He got in his patrol car and drove away, leaving me standing in the street with a piece of paper that felt like a death sentence. "What was that about?" Jessica asked, but she wasn't really looking at me. She was texting again. "Nothing," I said automatically. "Just a warning about the speed trap ahead." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Great. Well, you can take an Uber home. I'm going to grab drinks with the team." "Team building? You know, team building, right?" "Sure," I heard myself say. "Team building." She kissed my cheek, and for a split second, I smelled cologne that wasn't mine. Something expensive. Something Brandon would wear. "Don't wait up," she called over her shoulder, already walking back to the BMW. I stood there watching her drive away, taking her phone call before she even reached the end of the block. Through the open window, I heard her laugh, not the laugh she used with me anymore, but the one she used to use back when we were happy. Back when I thought we were happy. The Uber ride to the Motel 6 on Riverside Drive took 23 minutes. 23 minutes of staring at that piece of paper, turning it over in my hands, trying to make sense of what just happened. The motel clerk was a tired-looking woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and a nameplate that read, "Dolores. Rough night, honey?" she asked as I filled out the registration form with shaking hands. Something like that. "Well, room 127 is nice and quiet, away from the highway noise. You need anything? I'll be right here until 6 a.m. Room 127 smelled like industrial carpet cleaner and disappointment. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the phone number on the paper. 3 a.m. seemed too late to call anyone, but I wasn't going to sleep anyway. I dialed. It rang twice before a woman's voice answered. Professional alert despite the hour. Crisis Intervention Hotline. This is Susan. How can I help you tonight? Officer Martinez gave me this number. He said something about my wife, about a police report. Can you give me your name and case number, sir? Davidson. Eric Davidson. I don't have a case number. I don't even know what this is about. There was typing on the other end. Then silence. Mr. Davidson, I need to ask you some questions, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Are you in a safe location right now? I'm in a motel. Good. Now, in the past few months, has your wife exhibited any unusual behavior? Changes in schedule, new friends, unexplained expenses? My throat went dry. Yeah, all of that. Has she mentioned feeling trapped in your marriage? Talked about wanting a fresh start? I stopped. 6 months ago, Jessica had started working late. New job, new responsibilities, new co-workers who were so much more ambitious than the people at her old company. Yeah, Mr. Davidson. I'm going to transfer you to Detective Williams. She can explain your situation better than I can. But I want you to know that you did the right thing by calling. The hold music was some generic jazz that made me want to punch the wall. When Detective Williams came on the line, her voice was crisp and businesslike. Mr. Davidson, I've been investigating a domestic situation involving your wife and her co-worker, Brandon Michaels. What I'm about to tell you may be difficult to hear. Just tell me. 3 weeks ago, we received an anonymous tip about suspicious activity at your home address. The tip suggested that your wife and Mr. Michaels were planning to have you declared mentally unstable, so they could gain control of your assets and force you into psychiatric treatment. The room started spinning. That's insane. Jessica wouldn't. Mr. Davidson, we have recordings, text messages, financial records showing money being moved from your joint accounts to accounts in your wife's name only. We have documentation of her consulting with a lawyer about having you committed. I couldn't breathe. The anonymous tip came from someone close to the situation, someone who was disgusted by what they were witnessing and decided to contact law enforcement. Who? My voice was barely a whisper. I can't reveal that information yet. But Mr. Davidson, tomorrow morning, your wife and Mr. Michaels plan to file a petition claiming you've been having violent episodes and making threats. They have a doctor lined up who's never met you, but is willing to sign papers recommending immediate psychiatric evaluation. The phone slipped from my hand and clattered onto the nightstand. I stared at the ceiling, trying to process what I just heard. Jessica, my wife of 8 years, was trying to have me committed so she could steal everything I'd worked for and run off with her muscle-bound boyfriend. I picked up the phone. Detective Williams, I'm here. What do I do right now? Nothing. Don't contact your wife. Don't go home. Don't do anything that could be construed as threatening or unstable. We're building a case against them for fraud and conspiracy. But Mr. Davidson, yeah, this is going to get uglier before it gets better. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Jessica's laugh tonight. Brandon's smug smile, the way she'd been looking at me lately like I was something she needed to scrape off her shoe. Detective? Yes, I used to be the good guy in this story. What are you now? I smiled for the first time in months. It felt strange on my face. I guess we're about to find out. Saturday morning hit like a hangover I didn't earn. I'd managed maybe 2 hours of sleep between Detective Williams' call and sunrise. And now I was sitting in a diner across from the Motel 6, drinking coffee that tasted like motor oil, and trying to figure out what the hell my life had become. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica. Working all day. Don't wait up tonight either. Big presentation Monday, right? Big presentation. With Brandon's help, I was sure. I called my buddy Ray from the garage where I worked. Ray Kowalski, the only guy I knew who could fix anything with an engine and had zero patience for bullcrap. Eric, it's Saturday morning, man. You better be calling because someone's dead or you need bail money. Ray, I need to ask you something and I need you to be straight with me. Shoot, have you heard any rumors about Jessica? About her and some guy from her work? Long pause. Too long. Crap, Eric. I was hoping you wouldn't ask. My stomach clenched. What do you know? Look, I didn't want to be the one to tell you this. But yeah, there's been talk. My cousin Lisa works at that fancy gym downtown, and she says she's seen Jessica there a lot lately with some buff dude who's definitely not you. Brandon Michaels. I don't know his name, but Lisa says they weren't exactly being subtle about it. Making out in the parking lot, going to the same spinning classes, that whole deal. How long? At least 2 months that Lisa knows about. Maybe longer. I closed my eyes. 2 months was when Jessica started working late, when she joined the gym, when she started talking about needing space, and how I never understood her ambitions. Ray, there's more. A lot more. I told him about the police report, the planned commitment, the financial stuff. By the time I finished, Rai was swearing in 3 languages. Those sick bastards. He said, Eric, you need help. You need someone watching your back. I'm not supposed to do anything that looks threatening or unstable. Who said anything about threatening? We're just going to do a little investigation. Gather some evidence of our own. You said they have recordings and text messages. Well, 2 can play that game. Ray, meet me at the shop at 2 wow. And Eric, bring that police detective's card. We're going to need backup for what I have in mind. I spent the morning walking around a shopping center I'd never been to before, trying to blend in with the Saturday crowd. Every few minutes, I'd check my phone, half expecting Jessica to call and confess everything to tell me it was all a misunderstanding. Instead, I got a Facebook notification. Jessica had been tagged in a photo. It was a group shot from some restaurant I'd never been to. Jessica was sitting next to Brandon, his arm around her shoulders. She was wearing the red dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year, the one she said was too fancy for anywhere we ever went. The caption read, Team Dinner. So grateful for my amazing coworkers. Amazing coworkers. I zoomed in on Brandon's face. He was looking at Jessica like she was the last piece of chocolate cake on earth, and she was looking back at him the same way. In 8 years of marriage, she'd never looked at me like that, not even on our wedding day. I screenshot the photo and sent it to Detective Williams with a message. Is this helpful? She replied within minutes. Very. Keep documenting everything you see. And Mr. Davidson, I have an update. Can you come to the station at 4 p.m.? I met Ray at his garage first. Ray's automotive had been in his family for 30 years, and the place looked like a museum of American cars and honest work. Ray was under the hood of a '67 Camaro when I walked in. His massive frame bent over the engine like a surgeon over a patient. Eric, he straightened up, wiping his hands on a rag. You look like hell, brother. Feel like it too. Well, that's about to change. I've been making some calls. Ray led me to his office, which was basically a closet with a desk and a coffee maker that looked older than both of us. He pulled out a manila folder. My cousin Lisa, she's not just a fitness instructor. She used to work private security before she got into the gym business. Still has contacts in that world. He opened the folder. Inside were photos, lots of them. Jessica and Brandon holding hands in the gym parking lot. Jessica and Brandon in his BMW at a drive-thru. Jessica and Brandon coming out of a hotel at 2 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. These are from the past 3 weeks, Ray said. Lisa's been documenting everything since I called her this morning and told her what was going on. I stared at the photos. In one of them, Jessica was laughing at something Brandon was saying, her head thrown back, completely carefree. I hadn't seen her that happy in years. There's more, Ray said. He pulled out a thick stack of papers. Lisa knows a guy who works at the bank where you and Jessica have your accounts. This is all public record stuff, nothing illegal. But look at this. The bank statements showed exactly what Detective Williams had described. Money being transferred from our joint checking into accounts I'd never heard of. Thousands of dollars over the past 2 months. She's been bleeding you dry, Ray said. Look at this one. March 15th, $500 to JM Consulting. Want to bet that's Jessica Michaels? That's not her name. Not yet. My hands were shaking. Ray, I think I'm going to throw up. No, you're not. You're going to get angry. You're going to channel that anger into getting justice. And you're going to make sure these 2 parasites don't destroy anyone else's life. He was right. The nausea was passing, replaced by something colder and more focused. What do? We go see your detective friend. We show her everything, and then we start planning. The police station smelled like disinfectant and broken dreams. Detective Williams met us in a conference room that had seen better decades. She was younger than I'd expected, maybe mid-30s, with short brown hair and eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. Mr. Davidson, thank you for coming in. And you are? Ray Kowalski, Eric's friend, and as of today, his unofficial private investigator. Detective Williams smiled. Unofficial? Ray spread the photos and bank statements across the table. Completely legal documentation gathered by concerned citizens who don't like seeing good people get screwed over. Williams examined everything carefully. When she was done, she leaned back in her chair. This is very helpful. It corroborates everything we already suspected and gives us a clearer timeline. What's the next step? I asked. Well, the good news is that we have enough evidence to arrest both of them on fraud charges. The bad news is that we need to catch them in the act of filing false psychiatric reports before we can add conspiracy charges. Which means you have to let them make their move on Monday. You want me to let them try to have me committed? We'll be watching. The moment they file those papers with fraudulent psychiatric evaluations, we'll have them. But Mr. Davidson, I need you to promise me something. What? No matter how angry you get, no matter what you discover between now and Monday, you cannot take matters into your own hands. One wrong move, and you'll be the one in custody, not them. I thought about Jessica's laugh in those photos, about the red dress about 8 years of marriage that apparently meant nothing to her. I promise I lied. Outside the police station, Ray lit a cigarette and stared at the sky. You're planning something, he said. It wasn't a question. I promised I wouldn't take matters into my own hands. That's not what I asked. I thought about Brandon's smug face, about Jessica calling him baby, about the hotel room at 2 in the afternoon. Ray, how would you feel about doing a little more investigation tonight? He grinned. I was hoping you'd ask. Saturday night, Ray and I sat in his pickup truck across the street from Whiskey Jack's, the upscale bar where Jessica and Brandon were having their team meeting. Through the window, we could see them at a corner booth, Jessica's hand resting on Brandon's arm like it belonged there. I count 4 other people from her office, Ray said, adjusting the small camera he'd borrowed from his cousin Lisa. This isn't team building. This is a cover story. As we watched, Jessica got up to go to the bathroom. Brandon immediately pulled out his phone and started typing furiously. My phone buzzed. Sorry, baby. Stuck in boring work dinner. Probably be here until midnight. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you. The words felt like acid in my throat. She's texting you, Ray observed. Yeah, telling me how bored she is at her work dinner. Brandon was laughing at something on his phone now, showing the screen to one of Jessica's co-workers. They were all laughing. They're laughing at you, Ray said quietly. All of them. When Jessica came back from the bathroom, she leaned down to whisper something in Brandon's ear. His hand went to her lower back, and she didn't move away. In fact, she moved closer. Get the camera ready, I said. Ray started recording as Brandon and Jessica made their excuses to the group and headed for the exit. But instead of going to separate cars, they got into Brandon's BMW together. Follow them? Ray asked. Follow them. The BMW led us through downtown to the Marriott on 5th Street. The same hotel from the photos Lisa had taken. They didn't even bother with separate parking spaces. They're not trying to hide this anymore, Ray said as we watched them walk into the lobby together. They're getting bold or desperate. If they're planning to file papers on Monday, tonight might be their last chance to celebrate before everything hits the fan. Ray parked where we could see Brandon's car. How long do you want to wait? As long as it takes. It took 3 hours. 3 hours of sitting in a truck, listening to Ray's old country music, watching other people come and go from the hotel, trying not to think about what my wife was doing in room 412. When they finally came out, Jessica looked different. Her hair was messed up, her lipstick was gone, and she had that satisfied glow that I used to think was just for me. Brandon walked her to her car, which was parked in the far corner of the lot. Before she got in, he pulled her close and kissed her. Not a peck on the cheek, not a friendly goodbye. The kind of kiss that should have been reserved for someone's husband. You getting this? I asked Ray. Every second of it. They talked for another few minutes, their heads close together like they were planning something. Then Jessica got in her BMW and drove away. Brandon stood there watching her go, that stupid smile on his face, like he'd just won the lottery. What now? Ray asked. I checked the time. 1:30 p.m. If Jessica was coming home, she'd be there by midnight. Now we go have a conversation with Brandon. Eric, a conversation, Ray. That's all. Brandon was walking toward his BMW, keys jingling in his hand, probably thinking about what a great night he'd had with another man's wife. He didn't notice us until we were 10 aft away. Brandon Michaels, I called out. He turned, and when he saw me, his face went through about 5 different expressions before settling on fake confusion. Do I know you? I'm Eric Davidson, Jessica's husband. Now his face went pale. Oh, hey, Jessica's mentioned you. I bet she has. What did she tell you? That I'm crazy, unstable, a threat to society. Look, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. I stepped closer. Ray flanked him from the other side. You know, Brandon, I've been having the most interesting conversations today with police detectives, with bank investigators, with people who know all about your little plan to have me committed so you can steal my money and run off with my wife. Brandon's eyes darted between me and Ray. You're insane. Actually, that's exactly what you want everyone to think. But here's the thing about calling someone crazy, Brandon. Sometimes it pisses them off enough to prove you right. I pulled out my phone and showed him one of Lisa's photos. Him and Jessica at the hotel entrance, her hand on his chest. Interesting work dinner, I said. Brandon tried to grab the phone. Ray caught his wrist. I wouldn't, Rai said in his calmest voice. The voice he used when explaining to customers why their transmission was going to cost $3,000 to fix. You can't prove anything, Brandon said. But his voice was shaking. Now I don't have to prove anything. The police already have everything they need. Recordings of you and Jessica planning this whole thing. Financial records, photos. Tomorrow morning, they're going to be watching when you try to file those fake psychiatric reports. Brandon went completely white. What fake reports? The ones from the doctor who's never met me, but somehow knows I'm violent and unstable. The ones that are going to get you both arrested for fraud and conspiracy. This is insane. Jessica never mentioned anything about psychiatric reports. I studied his face. The confusion looked real. You have no idea what she's planning, do you? What? Who's planning? Jessica and I we're friends. Friends who spend 3 hours in hotel rooms together. That's not, we just look, things happen, okay? But Jessica would never do anything to hurt you. Ray and I looked at each other. Brandon was either the world's best actor or Jessica was playing him too. Brandon? I said slowly. What exactly did Jessica tell you about me? She said you were having problems, marriage problems, that you were thinking about divorce, but you were being really bitter about it. That you might try to make things difficult for her financially. And you believed that justified sleeping with her. She said you two were separated. She said you were just living in the same house until the lawyers worked everything out. The pieces clicked into place. Jessica wasn't just stealing from me and planning to have me committed. She was lying to Brandon too, making him think he was helping her escape an unhappy marriage instead of helping her commit felonies. Brandon, when did Jessica tell you we were separated? 2 months ago, when we became close. 2 months ago. Right when the money transfer started. And what's supposed to happen after I get committed? What do you mean? What's Jessica's plan? You two ride off into the sunset with my money? Brandon looked genuinely confused. What money? Jessica doesn't have any money. That's why she's been so stressed about the divorce. She says you're going to take everything and leave her with nothing. Ray whistled low. Holy crap. What? Brandon asked. She's played you, dude, Rai said. She's been stealing Eric's money for months, telling you it's the other way around. When the psychiatric thing goes through, she gets everything. The house, the savings, the works, and you get to be the other man who helped her do it. Brandon's face went through several more expressions before settling on angry. That's impossible. Jessica wouldn't. She loves me. Does she? I asked. Or does she love having someone to help her with her plan while she tells him exactly what he wants to hear? Brandon looked at the hotel, then at his BMW, then at us. I need to talk to Jessica. I bet you do, I said. But here's the thing, Brandon. Tomorrow morning, when you don't show up to file those psychiatric reports, Jessica's going to know something went wrong. She's going to know you talked to me. I'm not filing any reports. No, you're not. But she doesn't know that yet. Brandon pulled out his phone. I'm calling her right now. Go ahead, I said. But ask yourself this. If she's been lying to you about everything else, what makes you think she'll tell you the truth now? He dialed. The phone rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Hi, you've reached Jessica. I can't take your call right now, but leave a message and I'll get back to you. Jessica, it's me. Call me back as soon as you get this. We need to talk. He hung up and immediately dialed again. Voicemail again. She's not picking up. he said like that was somehow surprising. She's probably home by now, I said, telling her husband about her boring work dinner. Brandon stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. You're really her husband for 8 more years than I should have been. Apparently this is so ducked up. Yeah, it is. Ray checked his watch. It's almost midnight. Eric, you should probably get back to the motel before she starts wondering where you are. She doesn't care where I am. She thinks I'm too stupid to figure out what's happening. Brandon was still staring at his phone, willing it to ring. I can't believe she lied to me. Believe it, I said. Question is, what are you going to do about it? He looked up at me. What do you mean? I mean, you can let her destroy both of us, or you can help me stop her. Help you? How? I smiled. It felt good. It felt dangerous. Leave that to me. Sunday morning, I woke up in the Motel 6 with a plan that would have scared the old me. The new me, the one who'd spent the night dreaming about revenge, thought it was just getting started. My phone had 3 missed calls from Jessica and 2 voicemails. The first voicemail, Eric, where are you? I came home last night and you weren't here. Are you okay? Call me back. The second voicemail from 20 minutes later. Eric, I'm worried. This isn't like you. Please call me. I'm sorry about last night. The work dinner ran really late and I should have called. Please come home. Interesting. Either she was genuinely concerned, or Brandon had told her about our conversation and she was panicking. I called Rye. Did you sleep at all? He asked by way of greeting. Did you do what I asked? Yeah. My cousin Lisa is going to meet us at 10 Ys. She has everything ready. And the other thing that too. Eric, are you sure about this? Because once we do this, there's no going back. You're going to be a different person after today. I thought about Jessica's laugh in those photos, about the red dress, about Brandon's hands on her body while she told me she loved me. Good, I said. The old person was an idiot. Lisa turned out to be a 5.2 dynamo with arms like a bodybuilder and eyes like a shark. She met us at a coffee shop near the gym where she worked, carrying a small black bag that looked like it contained either surveillance equipment or weapons. Possibly both. You're Eric, she said, shaking my hand with a grip that could crack walnuts. Ray told me everything. I hate cheaters. What's in the bag? Everything. We need to end this once and for all. She unzipped it, revealing cameras, recording equipment, and what looked like a small tracking device. I've been following your wife and her boyfriend for weeks. I have enough evidence to bury them both. She pulled out a tablet and showed me videos. Jessica and Brandon in his car, windows down, making out like teenagers. Jessica and Brandon in the hotel elevator, his hands all over her. Jessica and Brandon in the gym, working out together, sharing water bottles and towels like they were a couple. This is from yesterday morning, Lisa said, showing me another video before the work dinner. On the screen, Jessica was in Brandon's apartment. I could see her through the window cooking breakfast in just one of his t-shirts, looking completely comfortable and at home. She's been living 2 lives, Lisa said. Wife during the day, girlfriend at night. But here's where it gets interesting. She showed me another video. This one from Brandon's apartment building security camera. Jessica leaving at 7 a.m., looking guilty and nervous, checking her phone constantly. This was taken 2 days after you started staying at the motel. Lisa said she knew you were gone, but she was still sneaking around. Which means she's not just cheating on me, she's cheating on him too. Bingo. Lisa pulled out another set of photos. Meet David Chen, personal trainer at the gym where I work. Guess who's been having private sessions with him 3 times a week? The photos showed Jessica in workout clothes that cost more than most people's rent, doing stretches that were definitely not regulation yoga poses, while David spotted her from positions that were definitely not professional. 3 guys, Ray said. Jesus Christ. It gets better. Lisa said David has no idea about Brandon. Brandon has no idea about David, and neither of them knows about the psychiatric commitment plan. I stared at the photos. My wife, who I thought was having one affair, was actually having 2 affairs while planning to steal everything I owned and have me locked up in a mental institution. She's sociopathic, I said. She's greedy, Lisa corrected. And she's sloppy. Look at this. The last video showed Jessica at an ATM withdrawing cash from what looked like 4 different accounts. She was talking on the phone, gesturing angrily. This was yesterday, right after you confronted Brandon. She's been calling him all morning and he's not picking up. She's panicking. Good, I said. Let her panic. Lisa zipped up the bag. So, what's the plan? I told them. By the time I was finished, Rai was grinning and Lisa was nodding approvingly. That's evil, Rai said. That's perfect, Lisa added. That's justice, I said. We spent the rest of the morning setting everything up. Lisa called in favors from her security contacts. Rai made sure his truck was ready for what we had planned. I practiced what I was going to say, running through different scenarios, trying to anticipate how Jessica would react. At 2 p.m., I finally called her back. Eric, oh my God, where have you been? I've been worried sick. I'm fine. Just needed some space to think. Think about what, Eric? You're scaring me. This isn't like you. Maybe the old me wasn't working out so well. Pause. What does that mean? It means I've learned some interesting things about my life lately, about my wife, about my marriage. Eric, you're not making sense. Come home. We need to talk. We do need to talk, but not at home. Too many memories there. Meet me at Riverside Park at 4 sa. Why can't we talk at home? Because I said so. Another pause. Longer this time. Eric, you're acting really strange. Am I? Or am I just acting like someone who's tired of being lied to? Lied to about what? 4 hours. Jessica, Riverside Park, by the big oak tree where we had our first date. If you don't show up, I'm going to assume our marriage is over and act accordingly. I hung up before she could respond. Rai and Lisa were waiting in the parking lot when I arrived at the park. Lisa had cameras positioned around the oak tree, hidden in the bushes and mounted on nearby trees. Ray had parked his truck where he could see everything but stay out of sight. You sure about this? Rai asked. I'm sure. Jessica showed up at exactly 4 o'clock driving the BMW that I'd helped her pick out for her birthday 2 years ago. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, trying to look casual and non-threatening. But I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she kept checking her phone. She spotted me sitting on our old bench and walked over carefully like she was approaching a wild animal. Eric, are you okay? I'm great, actually. Better than I've been in months. She sat down next to me, but not too close. You've been acting really strange lately. I'm worried about you. Are you? Or are you worried about your plans? What plans? Eric, you're not making sense. I pulled out my phone and showed her one of Lisa's photos. Jessica and Brandon at the hotel. Her face went white. Where did you get that? Does it matter? The question is, how long has this been going on? Eric, I can explain. Can you? Because I have a lot more photos, videos too. Would you like to see them? I scrolled through the photos on my phone. Jessica and Brandon in his car. Jessica and Brandon in the gym. Jessica and David Chen in positions that definitely weren't covered in any workout manual. David too? She whispered. You didn't think I knew about David? Jessica? I know about everything. The affairs, the money transfers, the psychiatric commitment plan. She stood up so fast, she nearly fell over. The what? The plan to have me declared mentally unstable so you can take everything and run off with your boyfriend. Which boyfriend were you planning to run off with, by the way? Brandon or David? Or do they not know about each other either? Eric, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no plan. Detective Williams thinks differently. So does the FBI Financial Crimes Unit. That's Dr. Cold. FBI? Oh yes. Did you think stealing from joint accounts and filing false psychiatric reports was just a local matter? Jessica, you've committed federal crimes. Mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud. 20 years minimum. Jessica sat back down hard like her legs had given out. Eric, there's no psychiatric plan. I don't know where you heard that, but it's not true. Really? So, if I call Dr. Stevens right now, he won't know anything about evaluating me for involuntary commitment. Her face told me everything I needed to know. How did you find out about Dr. Stevens? The same way I found out about everything else. You're not as smart as you think you are, Jessica. She was crying now, but they weren't real tears. They were the calculated tears she used when she wanted something. I'd seen them too many times to be fooled anymore. Eric, please let me explain. It's not what you think. It's not? Then what is it? I was going to divorce you anyway. The other stuff, the psychiatric thing. That was Brandon's idea. He said it would be easier that we could avoid a messy court battle. So, you decided to have me committed instead. I never wanted to hurt you. I fell in love with someone else. With two someone elses. I didn't know how to tell you. So, you decided to steal my money and have me locked up in a mental hospital. It wasn't supposed to be permanent. Just long enough to get the divorce finalized and the assets transferred. You would have been fine. I stared at her. This woman I'd been married to for 8 years, who I'd thought I loved, who I'd thought loved me back, was casually talking about having me imprisoned in a psychiatric ward like it was a minor inconvenience. You're insane, I said. I'm practical, Eric. You never would have agreed to a fair settlement. You would have fought me on everything. This way was cleaner. Caner? Yes. I pulled out my phone again and showed her the video of her withdrawing money from multiple ATMs. Is theft cleaner too? That's my money from my job. From accounts with my name on them using my credit cards. Jessica, I have video of you stealing $30,000 over the past 2 months. She wasn't crying anymore. Now she looked angry. That money was mine. I earned it by sleeping with your coworkers, by working my ass off while you sat at home watching TV and complaining about everything. There it was. The real Jessica. The one who thought I was beneath her, who thought I deserved whatever she did to me. Is that how you see me? As some loser who doesn't deserve what he's worked for? Eric, you work at a garage. You fix cars. I work at a marketing firm. I create campaigns that influence millions of people. We're not in the same league anymore. So, you decided to level the playing field by having me committed. I decided to move on with my life. If you couldn't handle that, if you were going to make it difficult, then yes, I was going to do whatever it took to protect myself. I stood up. The old me would have been heartbroken. The new me was just cold. Protect yourself from what? From you trying to take everything I've worked for, everything you've worked for with my money in my house, using my credit. Our money, our house, our credit. Not anymore. I pulled out a manila envelope that Ray had prepared for me. These are divorce papers, Jessica. I filed them this morning. Irreconcilable differences. I'm keeping the house, the cars, and everything in the joint accounts. You get whatever's in your personal accounts minus what you stole, which I'll be suing you for separately. She grabbed the papers and started reading. You can't do this. I have rights. So did I. Right to not be cheated on. Right to not be robbed. Right to not be committed to a mental institution, but you didn't seem too concerned about my rights. Eric, please, we can work this out. I made mistakes, but we can fix this. No, we can't. But here's what you can do. You can call Brandon and David right now and explain to both of them that your marriage isn't over, that you've been lying to them, and that they need to find other girlfriends. I'm not calling anyone. Then I will. I pulled out Brandon's number. Eric, don't. I dialed. Brandon answered on the second ring. Eric, what do you want? I want you to listen to something. I put the phone on speaker and looked at Jessica. Tell him. Tell him what? Tell him about David Chen. Tell him about the psychiatric commitment plan. Tell him about the money you've been stealing. Tell him the truth for once in your miserable life. Jessica looked at the phone, then at me, then back at the phone. Brandon, Jessica. Brandon's voice came through the speaker. What's going on? You haven't returned any of my calls. There are some things I haven't told you, she said quietly. Like what? I held up one of the photos of her and David Chen. Like the fact that you're not the only guy I've been seeing. Silence on the phone. What do you mean? I mean, there's someone else. Another co-worker, David Chen. You're seeing someone else while you're seeing me while you're married. It's complicated. It's not complicated. Brandon's voice was getting louder. You're a cheating Brandon, please. And what's this about a psychiatric plan? Eric mentioned something last night about psychiatric reports. Jessica looked at me desperately. I nodded toward the phone. That was something we talked about. If Eric wouldn't agree to a fair divorce, you were going to have your husband committed? Are you insane? It was just a backup plan. You're sick, both of you. This whole thing is sick. The line went dead. Jessica stared at the phone like it had bitten her. There, I said. One down, one to go. I started to dial David Chen's number. Eric, stop, please. Why? You didn't stop when you were destroying my life. Because I love you. I laughed, actually laughed out loud. You love me, Jessica. An hour ago, you were talking about having me locked up in a mental hospital. That's not love. That's not even hate. That's something else entirely. I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted out. Well, now you're out. Congratulations. David Chen answered his phone with the kind of voice that suggested he was in the middle of a workout. Hello, David. This is Eric Davidson, Jessica's husband. Long pause. Oh, hi. I'm calling to let you know that Jessica and I are getting divorced and she's no longer available for private training sessions. Eric, look, I don't know what Jessica told you. She told me you've been sleeping together for the past month along with Brandon Michaels from her office, and that she's been planning to have me committed to a psychiatric hospital so she could steal my money and run off with one of you. I'm not sure which one. Another long pause. She's been seeing someone else. Several someone else's, actually. You're number 3 as far as I know. That's impossible. Jessica said she was separated. She said you two were getting divorced already. Well, we are now as of this morning. But 3 weeks ago, She was still very much married and sleeping with multiple men while planning to destroy her husband's life. I had no idea. I believe you. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I'm going to hang up and never speak to her again. Smart man. David hung up. Jessica was really crying now. Not the fake tears from before, but the real ones that came when someone realized their life was completely falling apart. Eric, what have you done? I've told the truth. Amazing how powerful that can be. You've ruined everything. No, Jessica, you ruined everything. I just exposed it. She stood up and started pacing. This is insane. You can't just destroy my relationships because you're mad about the divorce. I can't. Watch me. I pulled out my phone again and started scrolling through my contacts. Who are you calling now? Your mother. I thought she should know that her daughter is a cheating, lying, thieving sociopath who tried to have her husband committed so she could steal his money. Eric, no, please don't call my mother. Why not? She always liked me better anyway. If you call my mother, I'll tell everyone you're abusive. I'll tell them you threatened me, that you're dangerous, that I was afraid for my life. I stopped dialing and looked at her. Go ahead, tell them. I have video of you confessing to adultery, theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. I have recordings of you admitting you were planning to have me committed. I have photos of you with multiple men. Who do you think they're going to believe? She realized she was trapped. No more lies, no more manipulation, no more games. Just the truth sitting there between us like a bomb that had finally gone off. What do you want? She asked quietly. I want my life back. I want my money back, and I want you out of my house by tomorrow morning. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Ask Brandon. Ask David. Ask Dr. Stevens. I'm sure one of them will take you in. Eric, please. I'm sorry. I made mistakes. But we can fix this. No, we can't. Some things, once they're broken, can't be fixed. Trust is one of them. I stood up and started walking toward my car. Eric, wait. I turned back. This isn't over, she said. You think you've won, but this isn't over. I smiled. The new smile. The dangerous one. You're right. This isn't over. This is just the beginning. Monday morning arrived like a sledgehammer to the skull. I'd spent Sunday night in the motel, fielding angry phone calls from Jessica, desperate voicemails from Brandon, and confused texts from David Chen. But the call that woke me up at 6 a.m. was from Detective Williams. Mr. Davidson, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Your wife never showed up to file the psychiatric reports. I sat up in bed. What do you mean? I mean, we had officers waiting at the courthouse, at Dr. Stevens' office, at 3 different locations where those papers could have been filed. She never appeared. My stomach dropped. Where is she? That's what we'd like to know. Her car isn't at your house. It's not at her office. We've been trying to reach her since 8 a.m. yesterday, and she's not responding. She called me last night multiple times. She was angry about the divorce papers, but she didn't say anything about leaving town. Mr. Davidson, I need to ask you directly. Did you threaten your wife yesterday? I told her I was divorcing her and that she needed to move out. If that's a threat, then half the married couples in America are threatening each other daily. But you didn't threaten violence. You didn't tell her you were going to hurt her. Detective, I told her the truth about what she'd done and who she'd been doing it with. I told her I was keeping the house and the money she hadn't already stolen. That's not violence. That's justice. Mr. Davidson, Your wife called our office at 11 p.m. last night. She said you were acting erratically, that you'd threatened her and her friends, and that she was afraid for her safety. She what? She filed a restraining order request, emergency protective order. It goes into effect today. The room started spinning. She can't do that. She already did. Mr. Davidson, you're not allowed within 500 FT of your wife, your house, her workplace, or any location she frequents. If you violate this order, you'll be arrested immediately. This is insane. She's the one who committed crimes. She's the one who was planning to have me committed. And we'll pursue those charges when we can locate her. But right now, she's missing. And you're the last person who spoke to her. That doesn't look good. I was getting dressed while we talked, my hands shaking with rage. Detective, you know what she is. You have all the evidence. You know she's manipulating the system. I know what the evidence suggests. But a missing person case changes everything. If something has happened to your wife, nothing happened to my wife. She's hiding somewhere, planning her next move. Mr. Davidson, where are you right now? At the motel, where I've been since Friday night. Just like you told me. Stay there. Don't go anywhere. Don't contact your wife. Don't try to find her. Don't do anything that could be construed as violating the protective order. How can I violate a protective order if I don't know where she is? By looking for her. I hung up and immediately called Ray. You sound like hell, he said by way of greeting. Jessica's missing. She filed a restraining order against me yesterday, and now the cops think I did something to her. Did you, Rye? I'm kidding. Where do you think she is? I think she's somewhere safe. Probably with a lawyer figuring out how to spin this whole thing so she comes out looking like the victim. That sounds like her. What do you need me to do? I need you to find her. Rye was quiet for a moment. Eric, that's a bad idea. If the cops think you're looking for her, I'm not looking for her. You are. As a concerned friend who wants to make sure she's safe. And when I find her, then we'll know where she is and what she's planning next. Ray sighed. This is getting complicated. It was already complicated. Now it's just dangerous. Dangerous how? I thought about Jessica's parting words yesterday. This isn't over. She's not running, Rye. She's regrouping. I spent the morning pacing around the motel room, watching news reports about missing persons and wondering how long it would take before my face was on TV as a suspected wife killer. The restraining order had been delivered to the motel by a sheriff's deputy who looked at me like I was something he'd scrape off his shoe. The document was 3 pages of legalese that basically said Jessica Davidson was afraid her arranged husband, Eric Davidson, might become violent due to mental instability and marital problems. It requested immediate protection and exclusive use of the marital home pending psychiatric evaluation of the respondent. Psychiatric evaluation of the respondent. Even from whatever hole she was hiding in, Jessica was still trying to have me committed. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Eric. It's Brandon. I almost hung up. What do you want, Brandon? I want to know if you've heard from Jessica. She was supposed to meet me this morning and she never showed up. She was supposed to meet you. I thought you were done with her after yesterday. I was angry yesterday, but I cooled off. Look, Eric, I know what happened between Jessica and me was wrong, but I need to talk to her. There are things she needs to know. What kind of things? Long pause. Things about the plan. Things she doesn't know. I know. What plan? Brandon, can we meet? There's stuff I need to tell you. Stuff that's going to change everything. An hour later, Brandon and I were sitting in a coffee shop 20 minutes from town, far enough away that no one would recognize us. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His usually perfect hair was messy, and his gym clothes looked like he'd been wearing them since Saturday. "You look terrible," I said. "I feel terrible." "Eric, I need you to know something. I never meant for any of this to happen." "Which part? Sleeping with my wife or helping her plan to have me committed?" "I never helped her plan anything. I didn't even know about the psychiatric stuff until you told me Saturday night. But you knew about the money." Brandon looked down at his coffee. "Yeah, I knew about some of it." "How much is some of it?" "Eric, Jessica has been stealing from you for a lot longer than 2 months." "What do you mean?" "I mean, she's been planning this for over a year, maybe longer." Brandon pulled out a folder. Inside were bank statements, credit card statements, and what looked like legal documents. "Jessica gave me these 3 months ago. She said they were from your divorce attorney, showing how you were trying to hide assets so she wouldn't get them in the settlement." I looked at the papers. They showed accounts I'd never heard of, investments I'd never made, and credit cards I'd never applied for. "Brandon, I've never seen any of these accounts." "I know that now, but look at this." He showed me a credit card statement with my name on it. The charges were for expensive restaurants I'd never been to, hotels I'd never stayed at, and purchases I'd never made. She opened these accounts in your name. She's been using your credit, your social security number, your identity to fund her affairs and her escape plan. Identity theft. Yeah. And it gets worse. He showed me another document. It was a life insurance policy on me for $500,000 with Jessica as the beneficiary. When did she take this out? 8 months ago, right around the time she started talking about you having mental health problems. I stared at the policy. She was planning to have me killed, or she was planning for you to kill yourself after the psychiatric commitment. Either way, she gets the money. My vision went red. That sociopathic Eric, there's more. He showed me text messages on his phone, messages between him and Jessica. Jessica. The commitment hearing is set for next week. After that, everything will be easier. Brandon, what if he fights it? Jessica. He won't be in any condition to fight anything. Dr. Stevens knows what to prescribe. Brandon, prescribe Jessica. Medication, baby. Lots of medication for his own safety, of course. I felt sick. She was going to drug me. She was going to have you so medicated you couldn't function. Then she was going to control your medical decisions as your next of kin. And if something happened to you while you were heavily sedated, the life insurance pays out. $500,000 plus everything else she'd already stolen, plus the house, plus whatever was left in your accounts. I stood up so fast I knocked over my chair. Where is she, Brandon? I don't know. But Eric, I think she knows that we know. What do you mean? I mean, yesterday when you made me talk to her on speaker, when David hung up on her, when everything fell apart. I think she realized her plan wasn't going to work anymore. So she disappeared. So, she went to plan B. Which is what? Brandon showed me one more text message. This one from yesterday night. Jessica, change of plans. Eric is more dangerous than I thought. If something happens to me, you know who's responsible. I sat back down heavily. She's setting me up for murder. Yeah. And Eric, I don't think she's planning to stay disappeared forever. What do you think she's planning? I think she's going to fake her own death and frame you for it. Then she disappears with all your money while you're on trial for her murder. That's insane. So is trying to have your husband committed so you can steal his identity and collect on his life insurance. But she was going to do that too. I pulled out my phone and called Detective Williams. "Detective, I need to see you right away. I have new evidence about my wife's disappearance." "What kind of evidence?" "The kind that proves she isn't actually missing. She's planning something much worse." An hour later, Detective Williams was staring at the documents Brandon had brought, her face getting paler with each page. "This is identity theft, insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, and about 6 other felonies," she said. "And that's just what we know about," I said. "Detective, my wife didn't disappear because she was afraid of me. She disappeared because her plan to destroy me fell apart, and now she's working on Plan B, which you think is what? I think she's going to fake her own death and frame me for murder." Detective Williams looked at Brandon. "Mr. Michaels, are you willing to testify about these text messages? About the psychiatric commitment plan?" "Yes. I want to make this right." "And you're willing to cooperate with our investigation?" "Whatever it takes." Detective Williams closed the folder. "Gentlemen, I think your wife is more dangerous than any of us realized. And I think you're right about her not being actually missing. So, what do we do?" "We set a trap." Tuesday night, I stood in the shadows of my own backyard, watching Detective Williams and 3 other officers position themselves around the house I'd lived in for 8 years. The house that Jessica was going to try to burn down tonight with me supposedly inside it. Brandon had done exactly what we'd planned. He'd sent Jessica a text that afternoon telling her I was alone at the house, drinking heavily and talking about life ending. He told her I'd found out about the life insurance policy and was planning to end it all rather than face the humiliation of the divorce. Within an hour, she'd replied, "Poor Eric. I should probably go check on him. Make sure he doesn't do anything stupid." What she didn't know was that Brandon was wearing a wire when he sent that message. What she didn't know was that Detective Williams had officers watching every road into our neighborhood. What she didn't know was that the house was empty except for surveillance equipment and a mannequin in my clothes, positioned where she'd be able to see it through the bedroom window. At 11:47 p.m., I saw her car. She'd traded the BMW for a beat-up Honda that I didn't recognize, probably borrowed or stolen. She parked 3 blocks away and walked through the backyard of our neighbors carrying a small bag that I was pretty sure contained gasoline and matches. "Target approaching from the south," Detective Williams whispered into her radio. "All units, stand by." Jessica moved through the shadows, like she'd done this before. She crept up to the side of the house and peered through the bedroom window, where the mannequin was positioned to look like me, passed out on the bed surrounded by empty bottles. She actually smiled. For 10 minutes, she circled the house, checking every window, making sure I was alone and unconscious. Then she opened her bag and started pouring gasoline around the foundation. "All units, target is in position, preparing to commit arson. Move in on my signal." I watched my wife of 8 years pour accelerant around the house where we'd made love, where we'd planned our future, where I'd thought we were happy. She was humming while she worked. Actually, humming like burning down houses with people inside them was just another Tuesday night activity. When she was finished with the gasoline, she stood back to admire her work. Then she pulled out her phone and started recording a video. "Oh my God," she said to the camera, putting on her best scared wife voice. "Eric, what are you doing? Put down the matches, Eric." "No, don't do this." She was creating fake evidence. Video that would show her trying to talk her suicidal husband out of setting himself on fire. "Eric, please, I love you. Don't leave me like this." The performance was actually pretty good. If I didn't know better, I might have believed she was genuinely trying to save her husband's life. She stopped recording and pulled out a box of matches. "Now," Detective Williams whispered. The house exploded with light as 6 officers emerged from their hiding spots, weapons drawn, shouting commands. "Police, drop the matches. Get on the ground." Jessica froze like a deer in headlights. For a second, I thought she might actually comply. Then she lit a match and threw it toward the house. The gasoline ignited with a whoosh that sent flames shooting up the side walls. Jessica tried to run, but Officer Martinez tackled her before she made it 3 steps. "Jessica Davidson, you're under arrest for attempted murder, arson, insurance fraud, identity theft, and about 12 other charges I'm going to enjoy reading to you." As they cuffed her, Jessica saw me standing in the shadows. "Eric, how are you?" "You're supposed to be dead." I walked into the light. "Sorry to disappoint you. This is impossible. I saw you in the bedroom. I saw you passed out. You saw what we wanted you to see." Detective Williams was reading Jessica her rights, but she wasn't listening. She was staring at me like I'd risen from the grave. "You set me up. I exposed you. There's a difference. This is entrapment. You can't prove I was going to hurt anyone. Can I?" I pulled out my phone and played the video she just recorded. Her fake performance about trying to save me from ending my life. Interesting acting job. Too bad we have the real version recorded from 6 different angles. Jessica's face crumpled. Not the fake tears this time. Real ones. The tears that came when someone realized their life was completely and irrevocably over. "Eric, please. I can explain everything." "Can you explain the life insurance policy? That was just in case something happened to you naturally." "Can you explain the identity theft? I was just trying to build our credit." "Can you explain why you were about to burn down our house with what you thought was me inside it?" She couldn't answer that one. "Jessica Davidson," Detective Williams continued, "you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you." As they put her in the back of the police car, Jessica looked at me one last time. "I loved you," she said. "No," I replied. "You loved my money. You loved my house. You loved the idea of collecting on my life insurance. But you never loved me." "That's not true. Prove it." She couldn't. The fire department had the flames out within 10 minutes. The damage to the house was mostly cosmetic. Some scorched siding and a few burned bushes. Nothing that couldn't be repaired. But the damage to Jessica's life was total. By Wednesday morning, she was facing 47 separate charges across state and federal jurisdictions. The district attorney called it one of the most elaborate spousal murder plots he'd ever seen. Brandon testified against her in exchange for immunity. David Chen provided evidence about the identity theft. Dr. Stevens, faced with losing his medical license, admitted that Jessica had paid him to falsify psychiatric evaluations. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Jessica's lawyer tried to claim she was mentally unstable, that she'd been driven to desperate actions by an abusive marriage, but the evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Judge Morrison sentenced her to 35 years in federal prison without the possibility of parole. As they led her away in shackles, she looked back at me one more time. "This isn't over, Eric." "Yeah," I said, "it is." 6 months later, I was standing in the backyard of my house, watching contractors put the finishing touches on the new deck I'd had built, where Jessica had tried to burn the place down. The insurance money had covered the fire damage and left me enough to make some improvements I'd always wanted. Ray walked over with 2 beers and handed me one. "So, what now?" he asked. Now I figure out how to be single again after 8 years of marriage. Any prospects? I thought about Detective Williams, who'd been calling me regularly with updates on the case. Smart, tough, honest, the kind of woman who wouldn't try to have me committed for insurance money. Maybe, I said. Good. You deserve someone who won't try to kill you. That's a pretty low bar for a relationship. Yeah. Well, after Jessica, I figure you've earned the right to set the bar wherever you want. We stood there drinking beer and watching the sunset over the neighborhood where I'd almost died, where my wife had tried to murder me for money, where I'd learned the difference between love and obsession. My phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Federal Prison, Eric Davidson. You have a collect call from an inmate at the Federal Correctional Institution. Will you accept the charges? I thought about it for maybe half a second. No, I said, and hung up. Rye raised his beer. To new beginnings. To justice, I replied. To survival. To revenge, we clink-ticked bottles as the sun set behind the house that Jessica had tried to burn down with me inside it. The house where I'd learned that sometimes the person you trust most in the world is the person most capable of destroying you. But sometimes, if you're smart enough and lucky enough and angry enough, you can destroy them first. I used to be the good guy in this story. Now I was something else entirely. Something better, something that survived.